After the United Nations confirmed that a safe passage operation had begun in the Mariupol steelworks on Saturday, around 100 civilians have since been evacuated from Mariupol to Ukraine-controlled territory.
Yeah, Frank Ledwidge joins us to fill us in on the latest in Ukraine. Very good morning to you, Frank. So, look, overnight these evacuations understandably have been suspended. We're expecting them to be resumed this morning. And obviously, after the awful conditions that we've been hearing testimony of, that they were under, it couldn't come soon enough, but still 200, very small number.
Yes, it is. It's probably between 10 and 15% of the total civilians. Let's not forget that there are probably 2,000 military in there as well, and they're trying to hold on. I would suspect them are given orders to hold on for another couple of weeks. So yes, it's a start, and it took an awful lot of negotiation to get there.
So what's going to happen, Frank, if and when they are out? What happens next?
I think the Russians will continue what they've been doing. They've shown no particular inclination to treat civilians any different than combatants. So once this particular tranche is out, yesterday there was no assault on Azovstal for reasons you've already outlined, Eamon. They'll continue to bombard it and seal it off. The problem for the Russians, actually, is that they've planned a victory parade for about this time next week, the 9th of May, which will somewhat rained on by the fact that, of course, Azovstal still exists, the 11 square kilometres of Ukrainian garrison there.
Look, if these humanitarian corridors are working now, is there any potential of getting humanitarian aid into the steelworks? Because as I was saying before, the testimony talking about people having to amputate limbs, gangrenous wounds, people starving, children going grey-haired, watching their parents die, people's teeth falling out from the trauma. It's been absolutely hell on earth inside those steelworks. Is it possible for it to be a two-way street?
Well, Isabel, what you've hinted at there is the idea that the Russians have any kind of concern at all for the care and health of non-combatants, and of course they don't. If it suits their purposes, there may be some kind of supply. I personally doubt it. That's not the idea of siege. President Putin quite publicly gave the order that not a fly should be getting into the Azovstal complex. So I suspect there will be no aid going in. There may be a few people coming out for presentational purposes, because that's what this is. And the siege will continue, and it may continue for some time. It will continue essentially till the Azovstal defenders run out of food, water and ammunition.
When the history of this war comes to be written, how will these resistance fighters, these people incarcerated in that steelworks, be remembered?
So far, it's been one of the keystone or keynote defences in recent military history. I think for Ukrainians, it'll go down in history as something symbolic, like Stalingrad did, paradoxically defended to a great extent by Ukrainian soldiers in 1942-43. Interestingly, by the way, one of the major holdouts in Stalingrad was the Red Flag tractor and steel factory, which held on for 3 months, just as this will do. But more importantly, I would think presently, what this shows is it's taken the Russians 2 months, well, about 6 weeks, to reduce Mariupol. Mariupol, by the way, is a big city. It's about the same size as Newcastle. The towns that they're trying to strike now, trying to take now in the southeast, well, much of the southeast, I should say, is also built up. And unlike Mariupol, those places will have been prepared for defense. So no Russian soldier is going to relish entering a Ukrainian city now, and rightly not. It's no wonder it takes 5 soldiers for every defender to take a city. So they won't be looking at places like Sloviansk, Kramatorsk and Severodonetsk with any relish at all now, because they're going to hold on in the same way. That's down in the Donbass area, by the way, let alone any larger city such as Odessa they may have their eyes on.
Meanwhile, over the weekend, more high-profile visits, not least the UK Ambassador Melinda Simmons saying she feels comfortable to return the UK office to Kyiv, which was really positive over the weekend. And then Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House from the States, coming in, meeting President Zelensky, and Angelina Jolie in Lviv for the UN, meeting refugees there. So a sign of the stability returning to other parts of the country.
Yeah, I think in the west and north of the country, the Ukrainians are very keen to try and reassert some idea of normality. But let's not forget that when Antonio Gutierrez visited Kiev the other day, a couple of cruise missiles were quite deliberately logged into Kiev as a message. Now, didn't come anywhere near him, and Kiev's a city the size of, it's much bigger actually than Birmingham. So nobody's under any danger. But sure, they want to preserve the idea that Ukrainians are going concern, that it's a state that's still working, that most of it isn't destroyed. And of course, to start that long process now, even as the war goes on, of pulling in that Western investment to try and reconstruct the tragic damage that's been sustained so far. And by the way, there's going to be an awful lot more over the next months and years.
Okay, Frank, thanks very much indeed. Appreciate your perspective on things. We'll leave it there.
My pleasure. Thank you.